Okay, this is weird. We don't know what's going on here. So we came in to check on the cows this morning. And this one here is laying here. So we're going to reach inside. She was due to calve 3 days ago. So we're going to try to see what's going on. Well, I reached inside. The calf is alive. I'm not going to make it to church today. Called the vet. We're going to need some backup. First, I got to get some warmer, better clothes on. Put on a sweatshirt that was more stretchy. You can see here this cow is not in a good position. There's only like a foot between where we need access and where the wall is. So she left us in quite a tough spot and trying to figure out how we're going to handle this. The calf is moving. It is presenting somewhat normal, but it feels like there's a slight twist. Here's us discussing how we want to try to attempt our first roll. Dad, just grab her collar. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I wish I could say this is the only roll we're going to have to do, but this video is about to get a lot more interesting. That was the first of several rolls this cow will end up receiving. It's at this point right here we realize we have to turn the cow a little bit because her butt is right near one of those posts, which at some point we plan on mounting a head gain on, but you can see Doc tugged on her tail a little bit while me, my cousin, and my dad pushed on her back and tried to get her past that post. But like I said, we're not done rolling her here yet because we got to get her in a position where we can reach inside and see what's going on, and that's exactly what's going on here. So Doc had reached in, felt what was going on, and kind of a good thing. Bad thing is you can see here we have her in a much more accessible position, but we also kind of made the torsion. There was a slight torsion to begin with, made it a little bit worse by getting her into position. So now we have to roll her the other way. Before we start rolling her again, though, we're just going to get her treated real quick with some fluids named Cowslide. And I want you to notice one thing. Look at how down she looked at the beginning of this video, but then pay attention to how well she perks up by the end of the video. Here, we have to turn her, so this way we actually have room to roll her. We can't roll her back the same way we just rolled her. We have to roll her the opposite way to undo that torsion. So here, we're pulling on the halter and trying to push behind her a little bit just to try to get her to move. So again, we can roll her in the proper direction.
We're getting close.
Now begins the work of undoing the torsion. So we got to flip her pretty much a full 360 and then a little bit more to get this thing corrected. So Jerry here is being a huge help. But here we're trying to get her flipped over. While we have that momentum going, we flipped her again, and now we're going to reach back in and see if we got it. Not until we flip her at least 1/2 a turn yet, though. Now that we have her flipped, Doc reaches back inside just to confirm that we did get the torsion corrected. And we're basically 95% of the way there. So Doc is having me kind of reach in and just kind of get an understanding of what things are supposed to feel like before correction, after correction, and those kind of things. Doc did run out to her truck real quick. She grabbed what's called a snare. So what we're trying to do here is get that snare around basically the pole of the calf's head, kind of behind the ears, because the head is back too far. It's not aligning right with the feet of the calf, so we can't pull it out yet until we get that head brought up into position. So we're trying to get that snare basically hooked behind the calf's ears. Right there you can see what the snare actually looks like. So up a farther, that is a collar that once you get it around the calf's ears, you just pull the collar up a little bit so it tightens up. We don't want to go too tight, obviously, but just enough to bite the head a little bit. Here I'm just applying a little bit of gentle pressure on the calf's foot while Doc still tries to get the head with the snare around it pulled up into position. And here's where the tricky part happens. We don't want to pull too fast on the chains or the snare and have one of them outpace the other one. So we don't want the feet to get too far ahead of the head, and we don't want the head to come out too far ahead of the feet. So we're just trying to make sure everything is presenting properly here as we put pressure on it to try to make sure everything is still dilating, the calf is making progress. Now, we did end up grabbing a tool that we haven't used in quite a very long time. So what you're going to see here is called a calf jack. And to be quite honest, a lot of the reason we brought this is because we've already been working at this, rolling the cow, trying to pull the calf for over an hour already. We're just kind of shot. So this calf jack is used just to help keep a little bit of pressure so that we can keep that consistent pressure to make sure she stays dilating and everything is moving along the way it should. This doesn't put an excessive force on. It can if you do it wrong, but with our trained experience and the vet's trained experience, we're just using this to put gentle pressure on to keep things progressing. Unfortunately, at this point, we knew that the calf was no longer going to make it, but the bright side of all of this is you can see here just how much more perked up that cow is. Not quite the Christmas miracle we were hoping for, but we got a live cow and she's doing well, so That's the important part. I am not going to lie. When we first found the cow, well, it turns out now she had like a pre-calving milk fever, which is very rare. When we first saw her, whew, it did not look good. Now she's licking the calf, got a perky attitude, so I think the cow's going to be okay. Like I said, compare this shot here, where we're looking at her, to that first shot in the first 10 seconds of the video. It's a completely different animal after we got a little bit of medicine into her. I'll come back in a couple hours. We're going to give her a little extra calcium, and we'll keep a close eye on her, so we've done everything we can. Right, 905?